Hello everyone and welcome to another casual review. Today I'm talking about WarioWare Gold for the Nintendo 2DS. Actually, this is for the 3DS and 2DS, but I decided to play this on my 2DS because you are kind of rough on your system when you play this game. You're scratching the screen, you're blowing in the mic and getting spittle all over the place. So I decided to use my, not the new 2DS, but the Nintendo 2DS, like the original, like the door stopper wedge thing. I got one in pretty good condition from the classifieds a couple months back, and this is the first game that I played on it, and that is a weird system to play on. Like, the edges are just straight up and down, and it's just like it tapers into this like weird angle thing in the back. It's a kind of funky system to handle, but I had a good time playing WarioWare Gold on it nonetheless. So my past WarioWare experiences, I've been with the series ever since its original Game Boy Advance version, I believe. Out of my brothers and I think we've owned every single version, if I'm not mistaken. Like, my older brother had the original, and then he also had Twisted, and I had Touched, and my little brother got DIY, and I had the GameCube, and my older brother, I think we've gotten every single one, except for the one on the Wii U, which is Game & Watch, and I'm told that one is not that great of a version. So WarioWare Gold is kind of a collection of like greatest hits, and I'm not sure if all of them have been previous Microgames, because there are some with like newer systems that wouldn't have been in any other game. Like, there's one where you have to slide the Joy-Cons into the Switch really quick. I can't think of any WarioWare game that came out after the Switch came out, so I think they might have added a couple new Microgames. So if you're new to the series, you're asking, what are Microgames? And microgames are smaller versions of minigames. They're little, simple tasks you have to do within like 3 to 10 seconds, like really short amount of time. And they're just really stupid stuff like press A to sniff up that snot drip back into your nose, or press A at the right time to take a picture of this fairy flying across the screen. Just really goofy, simple task, and it sounds really easy, but when you up the speed and up the difficulty of it, it gets more and more progressively difficult until you lose all 4 of your lives. And every time, like after a certain amount of numbers, you come across a boss microgame, and I guess that could be considered more of like a mini game. And they're a little more difficult. They take a lot longer to accomplish. But if you successfully do the boss fight, you get a life back. So you have 4 chances, boss fight. If you lose one, do a boss fight, you'll get one back. And every, I want to say like 3 or 4 microgames, the tempo picks up quicker and quicker and quicker. So sometimes you'll just mess up a really easy task just because you only have like 5 seconds to do it, and you're panicking and you just go in the wrong direction or something like that. There are different types of microgames to this. There's the traditional mash mode, where that's just using the D-pad and the A button. That's more akin to what you're familiar with the regular, like the original Game Boy Advance WarioWare. You have your tilt, your like twist, and that's from the WarioWare Twisted games, and that's where you turn your whole system to like angle left or right, and then you have your touch, and that's just using your stylus and the touchscreen. And that's from like WarioWare Touched, obviously. And it's just like you play these different modes that have these different these different handheld controls, and then one of the final modes is it combines all of them. So obviously you can't really use like the stylus for games like that, because I ended up just using my thumb, because I'm not gonna like get out the stylus every time I have to do a touched micro game. So that's what I found was easiest for me for those like mashup modes. Super engaging, super replayable. You're just in 100%. It's not one of those things that you can really like watch something in the background or anything like that. It's not like a turn-based game. You're like all in. Like, I'm completely unaware of my surroundings whenever I play this game because of how quickly you need to be able to accomplish things. You just need to be on the ball, and it's just always you always have this drive to get like a new or high score. You just want to keep playing. If you lose all 4 lives, it's just like, hey, hop in, try it again, start back at level 1. And it's just, it's not really like punish it. Like, it doesn't ever feel discouraging or anything like that. It just gets faster and faster. But I never really found myself getting upset at the game. At the beginning, when I was first playing this game, I actually would kind of get a little frustrated because it would, they only have like a split second to tell you what to do. And it's usually like one word, like stall. And you'll be like, so it'll say stall, and then you'll see a character like pacing back and forth with all these bathroom stalls, and you don't know what to do at first. And then when you press A, your guy will immediately run forward, and you'll be like, oh, okay, so next time I play this and it says stall, I need to press A right in front of the open stall to use that. So a lot of times it would say one word, and I'll be like, well, what do you want me to do? Especially for the like mix, like the mashup modes, you'll be like, do I press the A button? Do I tap on the screen? Do I tilt the system? I don't know. I don't know what you want me to do. So it's kind of frustrating that way, but as you play more and more, when you get to the stall micro game, somewhere in your subconscious is like, okay, press A at the open stall, that kind of stuff. So it registers in your brain eventually. For the most part, you kind of do instinctively know what to do, but it does take a quick little learning curve in that aspect. The twisted micro games are probably my least favorite. I had trouble looking at the screen and turning my whole system at the same time. I usually got pretty low scores on those twisted modes. I want to say like, usually I would get a game over around 30 to almost 40 points is usually how far I'd go before I lost them all. Whereas like if I was playing a touched game, usually I could get up to maybe 60 or 70 even before I lost all 4 of my lives. Huge colorful cast of characters. You obviously have your Wario, but then you have like 2 little girl ninjas, you have this cool afro guy, you have this like bulldog and cat taxi driver, like a bunch of random wonky guys, which is basically like the whole theme of this game, right? Randomness, wonkiness, silliness. It's just fun. There's a lot of potty humor jokes, but it kind of works because it's almost like the game kind of brings you down to that goofy, bare bones elementary school humor. All the micro games have like funny, cartoony graphics, but like, I don't know, it's just a bunch of randomness. That humor really tends to work for a game like this. It's actually very funny. There's a lot of times where I laughed out loud. Every time you go into a mode, you get this little intro video to show like why you're playing through these micro games, and the story's just fun. It's just a good time. I know when I'm talking about like potty humor and stuff, you kind of roll your eyes, but for me, it kind of worked here. No, it didn't kind of work. It really worked here for me. As you play through the game, you accrue these coins, and you can put them in this little gumball machine, and then you get these collectibles. And these collectibles have there's such a variety of collectibles. You can get player cards for all the characters. You can even get little mini games, things like a Game & Watch game. You can get soundtracks. You can get this page that is like a piece of Nintendo history, and it'll tell you all about it. Like, hey, this was Rob, and he came with the original NES, and he spins discs. Oh, cool. And then you could like go forward. Hey, this is the GameCube. It's kind of cool that it came with a handle. Lots of people like to use this controller even today. And so it's like if you're a big fan of Nintendo, it's a fun way to go back and take a look at Nintendo's history. Sometimes like they go way back to like the 1800s. Hey, these are old Nintendo game cards before Nintendo did video games. Hey, this is like an old Nintendo toy from the 30s, Lots of fun stuff like that. It's really just like a love letter to Nintendo in general, because like a lot of the micro games are Nintendo themed, especially for like the 9-Volt. 9-Volt is a character. He's like a boy who's all about video games, and if you play his mode, it's all like these Nintendo themed micro games. Like you're playing the original Legend of Zelda, and it'll say, hey, go into this cave real quick, or you'll be playing Balloon Fight, pop these balloons real quick. So it's just a love letter to Nintendo, and I really appreciate it because I'm such a big fan of Nintendo. Pretty short. I'd say if you're just playing through this story, it would only take you maybe 3 or 4 hours actually. The story is pretty bare bones, of course. It's more about the actual gameplay itself, but the story basically goes, Wario, he's out of money, he's greedy, so he decides to hold like this microgame tournament, and there's an entry fee, so that's how he's making his gold. But if you win the entry fee, you make a ton of gold. And whether he holds up to that or not, it's for you to find out. And then you are, I don't know if you're playing this little girl or you're just watching this little girl play through the tournament. She's got beef with Wario for some reason. I'm sure lots of people do have beef with Wario. So you're just kind of, you're playing through all these different modes, and then you're watching a little cutscene of her trying to get at Wario for some reason. There's also different challenges that you can do. Like they try to mix it up a little bit. Like, hey, play through these mini games, but Wario's gonna try and mess you up. So you have to like blow on the screen to blow away all the things obstructing your view. Or one of my favorite challenging modes is a kit and cat mode. Those are the two little girl ninjas. And it's basically the mash mode. So you use the D-pad and the A button, and there will be a micro game on the bottom, and you'll do that, and it'll instantly do micro game at the top. So there's no like quick in between, take a breather. You're just micro game one after another without any like, hey, your score's going up. Or, normally on a normal mode, there would be a little interval in between each micro game, but this one just switches up, down, and it can be really frantic and fun. There's also little achievement things to get more coins, like, hey, reach this score on this mode, or when you're playing this micro game, achieve this. So that's kind of something additional that you could shoot for. If you're the type of person that considers a game's worth by the amount of hours that you spend playing this, I kind of would recommend you look elsewhere, unless you're really big about getting the high scores in each mode. And if you're really obsessed with unlocking all the collectibles, there's lots of collectibles. They're really fun to play around with, little toys, little gimmicks. There's a game that I thought was particularly clever where it has you sign your autograph, and then you have to sign like a ton of merchandise, and you have to get as close to that original autograph as possible, and you get graded on that. Lots of little clever games such as that. But if you're not interested in the collectibles, if you're not interested in replaying, getting a high score or anything like that, I'm not sure if this would be worth that much. I did get it $10 used at GameStop, and I totally think it was worth that price because I had a great time playing it, and I'm just replaying through all the levels, getting all the collectibles. It's a really great time, but I wouldn't buy this game new if you're only planning on doing the main story. Overall, this really scratches that WarioWare itch for me. I've always been in love with the franchise, and I guess I might be pretty biased towards this, but I think I would give this a 4 out of 5. I wish there was more modes and even a lot more micro games to this. That's my only real gripe about this game, but it is a great game. 4 out of 5. Recommend if this is your kind of style, your kind of humor. It's a good time. So just a quick little casual review. It's a short game, short casual review. So I appreciate you guys listening, and I will talk to you later. Bye.
Over there, see? I can't believe it. Yeah, he's so... I want to meet him. Wait, really? Joe.
Why does it keep cutting off?
I don't know.
That obvious, huh?
Tis. Hey, Jimmy always knows.
Can we get a pic?
I thought you would never ask.
Ah!
Oh, yeah. Ha ha. All right.
That's perfect.
Come on. Yeah. Everybody.
Wow, that was something. These pics are so good.
That's very
Can we
good.
get a few more?
You know it.
It was very good. You did a good job.